Good day, grade 10. This is day 53 on the 19th of June. We are busy with linear functions or straight line functions, and that's in the chapter about functions, chapter 6 in your textbook. Right, so today we are talking about the gradient of a line. The gradient or slope of a line is defined to be the rate at which y values change as the x values change. Okay, so that's like a ratio between y and x. So m is equal to the gradient is equal to delta y over delta x, and that is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can also remember this from analytical geometry. So the example: determine the gradient of the following graphs. A straight line passed through the points -1 and 6 and 0, 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark them x1, y1, x2, y2. Then I'm going to put them into the formula. So first I write down my formula. M is equal to delta y over delta x is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then I take my y2, which is 2 minus 6 over 0 minus -1. That gives me an answer of 4. Number 2, a straight line which passed through the points -1, 3 and 5, -2. So I do the same. To get the gradient, it's delta y over delta x, and that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that's -2 minus 3 over 5 minus -1, which is -5 over 6. So that's all that you need to do. Now you have to do the following exercise. For each of the following lines, determine the gradient by using any 2 points on the line. State whether the gradients are positive or negative, and write down the equation in the form y is equal to mx, and state whether the lines are increasing or decreasing, and explain. Okay, so we are going to do it for each of those lines. Line A, B, F, and G. Those are the names of the lines, so you can go do them. And when you are done, you can just come and press play again. You can pause it now, do it, press play again so we can mark it together. Alright, welcome back to the exercise of day 53. So here I have line A, and I have to work out for number A. The question is to work out the gradient. Let me just make sure. Determine the gradient by using any 2 points on the line. Okay, so I'm going to use any 2 points on the line. Delta y over delta x is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to use the points 4, 2 and 0, 0. You could have used any of those points. Now I'm going to substitute it into the equation. 2 minus 0 over 4 minus 0 is 2 over 4, which is a half. Second question, B. State whether the gradients are positive or negative. Okay, so that's a positive gradient. Definitely a positive gradient, because we can see that it forms an uphill line. Then write down the equation in the form y is equal to mx. So all that we need to do is we need to substitute our gradient in the place of m. So it's y is equal to m, which is a half x. And that's all. That's how we write down the equation. Then state whether the lines are increasing or decreasing, and explain. This line is increasing. Oh goodness. It's increasing because, oh goodness, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's increasing. The y values increase as the x values increase. There's E shorts. Okay, so it is a positive gradient, which means it's an increasing line. That's my explanation of why it is increasing. Alright, line B. Okay, number A says to determine the gradient. So that's delta y over delta x, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This time I use the points 7, 7 and 3, 3. You could have used any points. So then it's the y value subtracted over the x value subtracted, gives me 4 over 4, and that is 1. Is the gradient positive or negative? It's a positive gradient. Then I need to write down the equation. Oh my goodness, if that happens once more, I am very, very sorry. Okay, so it's y is equal to x, or actually y is equal to 1x, but do I need to write that 1? No, I can leave it out. So it's just y is equal to x. Then is it increasing or decreasing? It's increasing, because the y values increase as the x values increase, and it's as a positive gradient, so it is increasing. Then line F. Okay, A is to determine the gradient. M is delta y over delta x, the difference in y values over the difference in x values. This time I use the points -7, 7 and -3, 3. Okay, I substituted in 7 minus 3 over -7 minus -3, which is 4 over -4, gives me -1. Then they ask us, is the gradient positive or negative? It's definitely a negative gradient. Then number C is asking to write down the equation. Y is equal to mx. M is -1. So it's actually y is equal to -1x. But do I need to write the 1? No, I can just write y is equal to -x. Then number D, state whether the lines are increasing or decreasing and explain. Okay, it's definitely decreasing because the y values decrease as the x values increase, and we have a negative gradient, so that's why it's a decreasing line. Alright, and the last one, G, line G. First I need to determine the gradient. M is delta y over delta x, and that is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then I use the points 3, 6 and 0, 0. You could have used any other points. So then I substituted in 6 minus 0 over -3 minus 0 is 6 over -3, which is -2. It's a negative gradient. And then when I have to write it as an equation, it's y is equal to -2x. Is it increasing or decreasing? It is decreasing. It is decreasing. Y values decrease as x values increase, and it has a negative gradient. Right, and that is it for today. If you have any questions, email your teacher.